Chapter 12. Execution. 1. The witnesses participated in the execution of the condemned man, Deuteronomy 17:7. 2. Only the condemned man, not his family, was punished, Deuteronomy 24:16. As we have seen, the witness, if he were dishonest and was caught in his perjury, had to suffer the exact penalty which would have been imposed on the man on trial. There was a severe penalty for perjury. If the man were convicted, the witnesses had to participate in his actual execution to back up their testimony with action. In fact, the whole community had to be involved in the execution, Deuteronomy 17:7. It was their community that was at stake. The use of stoning was not a mandatory aspect of the law, simply one form of the death penalty among others. For some time in American law, community members were present as a way of giving assent to the sentence of the law. Punishment was limited to the offender or offenders, not to the family or relatives, unless they were involved in the offence. In the case of Achan, we see first that his confession was not enough to convict him. There had to be corroboration. Second, the stolen items were found in his tent and under it, which meant that his family was also guilty and therefore was killed. Joshua 7:22-25. Deuteronomy 24:16 summarized this premise of the law. Quote, "The fathers shall not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the fathers. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin." This law has been commonly disregarded by the nations. During much of Western history, acts, sentences, or bills of attainder punished the family of a guilty man, usually a traitor, by seizing all his assets and properties and forfeiting all claims by his wife and family to them. Such measures are forbidden by the U.S. Constitution but are still common practice. For example, the U.S. Internal Revenue Service does seize funds of the entire family or their properties when they are not involved in the father's offence, or the wife is separated or even divorced. This kind of injustice tells us how far from justice humanistic law systems are. Deuteronomy 24:16 speaks of the death penalty being applicable only to the offender. By analogy, of course, it includes all offences, capital or otherwise. As Ezekiel 18:4 sums it up, quote, "The soul that sinneth, it shall die," end quote. God declares that the land itself is polluted by man's sin and spews out an ungodly people. The weather and the land work against evil peoples. Leviticus 18:24-30, Deuteronomy 28:1 following, even as it also blesses the godly. God brings about his sentence of execution by using the forces of nature against a people. If a people will not cleanse themselves of the ungodly, God will cleanse his earth of these peoples. Our task of cleansing cannot be a lawless one, but must be accomplished by conversion, and then by instruction in God's law word,